Good morning, Year 4. It's Friday. So, in our English lesson today, we are going to look at planning for our persuasive letter. Okay, so before we go into our main part of our lesson, what can we remember about persuasive writing? So pause the video and try and make a list. Okay then, so some of the ideas you might have remembered is that it's written in the present tense, it uses conjunctions, emotive language, some rhetorical questions to get the reader to think and feel the way you feel, facts and opinions to support your ideas, it's organised into paragraphs. Each paragraph's got a meaning, a purpose, so the opening paragraph hooks the reader and it gives you an overview. The conclusion, which summarises the main points, and it uses adverbs and high-level vocabulary. So well done if you got any of those when you were trying to remember the features of persuasive writing. So looking back at the waggle from yesterday, we are going to have a little look at each paragraph and think about how the letter is structured. Okay, so when we use paragraphs, each paragraph has got a subject, a topic. It separates all the different parts of the letter into paragraphs so they each have a purpose. So what I want you to do is skim read the waggle again, and I want you to think about if we had to give each one a subheading, each paragraph its own heading, what could it be? Okay, so that heading would summarise what's in each paragraph. So there are 6 paragraphs in this waggle, so you need 6 subheadings. So pause the video and try to think of 6 subheadings that match the topic of each paragraph. Okay, so our first paragraph, I think, is an overview. So it tells us what the purpose of the letter is. And then if we go into the second paragraph, it talks about school's purpose is for children to learn. Okay, so learning is the purpose of going to school. So something about learning being the most important part of school. Okay, the next one talks about how lots of friendship problems and medical emergencies happen whilst outside playing. So we could use that as our subheading. Okay, moving on to the next page then. And here we talk about how it's a waste of teacher time. So we could use a subheading teacher time perhaps. Now this paragraph is an interesting one because it talks briefly about the other side of the argument, that fresh air and exercise is good for children. So we could put opposing, so it's a bit like opposite, it's the opposite side of the argument, opposing ideas. And then finally, our last paragraph, of course, is the conclusion or the summary. Okay then. When we come to writing our own persuasive letter, we're going to have a purpose for each paragraph. So we need to think about today that each of our paragraphs has a clear purpose. So I've planned our first paragraph together. Okay, now you can use this or you can use your own ideas if you want to, but if you want to magpie mine, that is absolutely fine. So your introduction, it's asking the subject of your paragraph. So the subject of my first paragraph is going to be an overview, and yours should be very similar because we're going to give a brief overview of what our letter is going to be about, okay, which is, should Mr. Arable have killed the runt pig? Now I've thought about my Year 4 features that I want to include and my features of persuasive writing. So I know I want to use fronted adverbials, some adjectives and definitely a rhetorical question. Okay. Then I've gone back to my vocabulary that I magpied yesterday from the waggle, and I want to borrow the words imperative, on the other hand, inhumane and essential. So I have formed a skeleton plan of what that paragraph is going to be about. Okay, and remember to magpie vocabulary from the Waggle and our vocab bank, which I've left here for you if you want it. So the final task for you today is I want you to go through this plan and I want you to plan for your persuasive letter. Okay, so if you normally start on bronze, I'd like you to have an introduction, 2 paragraphs and a conclusion. If you normally start on silver or more, I want you on an introduction, 3 paragraphs and a conclusion. Okay, so you need to have 3 points you want to make about the question, should Mr. Arable have killed the runt pig? Okay, so remember to fill in the box to include all 3 subheadings. So what the subject of your paragraph is going to be, the features you want to include, and any example vocabulary. This is ready for you to draft next week. Okay, if you have any problems at all, please email either myself or Mrs. Willis. Will be at the end of the email, or Dojo, to send a response back if you need any help. Okay, we're looking forward to seeing your plans, and this will really help you with your writing next week. Good luck, Year 4.